Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'll ask the participants. I'm just checking.
Hello.
Yes.
Fine. Yes. A very good evening to all of you. And I was looking forward to physical presence because we are going to do tasks in terms of team building. But I'm lucky to have at least 4 teams here right now. So we'll just name you team 1, team 2, team 3. Will that be fine? So we are basically into the relevance of having a startup team. It's not so as they cannot be a solo entrepreneur. You certainly can have a solo entrepreneur, but there are huge advantages in terms of having a partner or more than one partner who we call as a co-founder. So the basic focus, we are just going to focus on few questions. So the first question is, what should you know about a startup? The second is, what should a startup do in terms of team building? And what not to do? So our focus will start from what is a startup team? So as I've already told you, we are going to do a team formation exercise. So we have here 4 teams. So we're going to start with the first exercise. For all those who are online, naturally you're going to miss all this exercise, but you can just follow up in terms of what the participants are saying and are engaged with. So our first exercise is wisdom from geese. I think everybody have observed this in the sky. Okay. So if you reflect, we have to basically reflect on the wisdom gleaned from the behavior of geese. So these are all geese, and you can see they have formed a particular pattern in the that they're flying. So this is nature, mind you, and there is team, and there's teamwork also, which is going on, which we have, ignored for a very long period of time in terms of what they're doing. So I'm stating scientific facts over here. The first fact is issue in what? Hearing my voice.
Either you can say it little louder or you need to be little bit closer to this
fine. Is this fine now? Yeah. Okay. So this is the first exercise which we are doing, as I've already told you. And these are the facts which we are basically stating. Okay. I'm going to read out the fact, and you're going to work on that fact. Okay. So the first one is, by flying in a V formation, the whole flock had 71% greater flying range than if each bird flew alone. Okay. I think wherever you feel you're not able to understand, please you can ask me questions. The second is, when a goose falls out of the formation, it quickly gets back into formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the flock. The third is, when the head goose gets tired, it rotates back in the wing and another goose flies point. Okay, that means the one who's leading the whole flock, if he or she gets tired, so there's any other goose which is going to replace that goose. The fourth is, these honk from behind and those up front for encouragement. So they keep on encouraging, and they honk just to show, that they're together. And the last one is, when a goose gets sick or wounded, if 2 other geese follow it out of formation, okay, that means they come out of the formation and try to lend help and protection. They stay with the fallen goose until it is able to fly or until it dies. Only then do they launch out on their own or with another formation to catch up with their flock. So these are scientific facts, okay, regarding the formation of that V shape in terms of goose flight. So what do we need to do as a team now is, we need to discuss and reach 5 consensus lessons from these 5 things. These 5 facts which have been put to you, you have to come together and tell me what lesson do you get from these facts. Okay? So I'll go back just for you to refer to these facts. Okay? So I'll repeat what I'm trying to say. मैं ये कहने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि जो 5 फैक्ट मैंने आपको दिए हैं, आप टीम्स हैं वो, ओके? One of you can join Professor Sharma as a team member. You have to discuss amongst yourself and tell me at the end, once take 10 minutes, as to what lesson do you learn from each of these 5 facts. मेरा क्वेश्चन क्लियर है सबको? ठीक है, आपको ये 5 फैक्ट बताए गए हैं और ये फ्लॉक है, फ्लॉक का मतलब ही टीम होता है. तो आपको टीम, एज अ टीम आप इन वर्ड से क्या सीख रहे हो? आप क्या सीख रहे हो? Same. You can call good children. Okay. Please discuss amongst yourself. There is somebody else. फिर वो इसका ना बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा. Well, good children is in the office. Downstairs. And I saw somebody going at the back. You have your notebooks and you have your pen. Please, you can note down. नहीं तो यहाँ से बोल लेते हूँ.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Okay, so now we have the 15 also. Okay, so the person who just joined us, what is her name? Krishna. These are 5 facts. So you have to discuss with your partner as to what lesson do you get from this fact about a team. Here we have, okay, I'll just display it once more for you, for your benefit. This is a V-shaped formation of the birds. Fine. So they are also a team. We call them as a flock. So what do you learn from these 5 facts about team building? See, please feel free. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me questions. Other than that, there are no right or wrong answers. So please do try what you are doing. Dr. Ram, I think they should also be covered. Their interaction should be. They should know. इनका कैप्चर नहीं हो सकता इनका कैप्चर करो तो दिस इज व्हाट इज एक्चुअली टीम बिल्डिंग एक्सरसाइज Please let me know whenever you are ready to apply. Any questions? Please let me know whenever you're ready with the answers. Please come in, you can join Professor Manoj Sharma as a team member. There's one more at the back. So we have another team. Dr. John, if you can just make them sit over there. Professor Manoj Sharma, आप इधर आ जाइए, please. Let them form a team. So wonderful. Now we have 6 teams. कोई बात नहीं, हम when we are going to do the second exercise, we'll make them work then. Let them not respond to this exercise. Okay, are we ready with the answers? Yes? Okay, now let me hear you out for the first fact. What do you learn about teams from the first fact? Yes.
Synergy effect.
Synergy effect. Okay, wonderful.
You are the completion. All
Yes. Yes, yes, wonderful. That's a perfectly very nice answer. Okay, so thank you, team 1. Any other team would like to add to what he has said? Yeah, please do. Wonderful, you know already so much about teamwork. Wonderful, thank you. Any other team would like to add? Yes. दूसरा उसको करेक्ट करेगा ठीक है fine. Okay, fine, that's wonderful. So let us come to the second fact now.
They are unable to hear the answers.
So it basically collaborate with the first point where it says that like if you have a great team formation, then your work will be better, and if you work alone, it won't be great. Fine.
There's a little bit said that if one person falls out of the team collection of ideas, then after some time we come back to that same position by the help of others.
Wonderful. That means if you fall back, you can always join the team and again, get that resounding energy. Get back into that energy. Wonderful. Anybody else would like to add? Hanji, boliye.
पावर ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस कि अगर एक बंदा ऑफ ट्रैक हो गया है, लेकिन वो जब वो देख रहे कि बाकी टीम का एनवायरनमेंट इतना पॉजिटिव है, फिर मोमेंटम में अच्छा ग्रुप चल रहा है, तो फिर उसका भी मन करता है कि नहीं मुझे इस टीम का पार्ट बनना है.
बहुत बढ़िया. I am so happy that all of you are getting such nice and getting such a nice response. Okay. Okay, let us go to the third one. When the head goose gets tired, it rotates back in the wing and another goose flies point. Yes, team 3.
As we're talking about a partnership organization, one person is leading the company, then another person is leading the company, founder is working with management. And then someone is, or when the person leading is come to a point where he's in a dilemma to really select an idea, then the other person comes and help the person, or the team comes trying and help them to make a clear path to a person to choose which way will be the give a benefit of profit when he or she goes.
Wonderful, team 3. Yes, team 4.
इसलिए आपने बताया जैसे शुरुआत में दो फाउंडर होना चाहिए. अगर मतलब उसको जो चीज है उसे इमोशनल सपोर्ट की जरूरत है, तो जो सीईओ है उसे इमोशनल सपोर्ट की भी जरूरत पड़ती है. जब वो इमोशनली सही नहीं होगा तो हमारा को फाउंडर है वो हमारी जगह ले सकता है.
ठीक है, आए. हाँ जी, आप कुछ कहना चाहते थे?
Different members of the team जो है, it is very possible that member of the team, especially the lean system, सबके पास अपने areas of expertise होते हैं. So when in a larger project or in any project, अगर whatever skill the situation calls for, that person can take lead, sort of a micro leadership बन जाती है.
ठीक है.
And it keeps on rotating under the guidance of the
Wonderful. That is what the birds do. That is what they do.
when it's required, leadership changes and
Yes, and you can see it is there in the nature, very nature which we have not been able to grasp. Okay, very, very nice. Okay, the fourth part, those found from behind and those up front for encouragement. Okay. This is quite simple. Yes, team 5.
मैम जो फोर्थ पॉइंट है वो काफी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी है.
हाँ.
बट यूजुअली आपने देखा होगा कॉर्पोरेट में क्या होता है, एक जैसे लीडर होता है, बाकी टीम मेंबर्स
हाँ.
तो ना डेट पुलिंग होती है, किसी की टांग खींचते हैं. अगर टीम मेंबर भी समझता है कि जो हमारा लीडर है वो क्या क्या चैलेंजेस फेस कर रहे हैं, वो एक इंकरेजमेंट बनता है.
Very nice. Anybody would like to add? Although it was very simple. Okay, let's go to the last point, the 6th. When a goose gets sick or wounded. Okay, so the bird is not left alone. There are 1 or 2 others who are to stick around with that bird until that bird gets fine or dies. And then they're going to wait for the next formation. Okay, so what do you get from this? The last point. Okay, fine. Anybody would like to add? Anji, team 1.
Resilience of it. Very sad when one. Then another thing, right? And again,
Okay, so the founders recognized that they had to understand their potential customers before deciding on their solution. So they did a research in the form of a survey. Okay, and 57% of the respondents said that the fit was most important in the buying decision. And 81 had difficulty finding work clothes that fit them well, and that also too at a lower price. So encouraged by the survey, the founders gauged demand for possible market segment. They wanted to identify who will be their potential customers sometime in the future. And they found that undergrads, recent college graduates, and young professional women were best fit for their product. They had 6 trunk shows. I hope you know what are trunk shows. Trunk shows basically are the shows that means they invite few people out of this segment, customer segment, and they showcase their products, okay, and take the feedback. So these 6 of them they carried out, and they got a very good response to their clothes.
शायद अब हो जाए अब ठीक आया बड़ा आया.
So the second is I will try to tell you something about the founders. Okay, CW did a double major in maths and theatre. Okay, and AN was a mechanical engineer. And both of them, joined in a high Ivy League college to do their MBA. And because they were from the same batch, they became very good friends. Okay, and they had a very common interest in fashion. They tested their relationship. So during their MBA course, they were given a startup consulting on the same theme, and they carried out the project together. They agreed on the strategy. They worked through the difference of opinion and was accountable to each other, just as friends and not as, they, went beyond their friendship and did take a decision as partners. They picked a good match. Okay, they had their own core areas. Okay, so over here, since there was one from engineering background, she was good in terms of building, and the other one who had done a major in maths and theatre, she was good in communication and talking out facts. So she picked up the marketing or the selling. So they just looked at themselves. They had very complementary skills. Okay, one focusing on processes, refining activities, and optimizing. And the second one focusing on telling stories and communication. And then they talk through. That means before actually venturing into this business, they talk through each other. They spend a lot of time in terms of what would be the terms and conditions, like how much time they would be giving to this business, what money would they be putting from their side. And also they were working out, what should be the model of delivery. So they decided that it should be D2C, that is direct to consumer model. They decided on the equity split, that whatever is the profit, they're going to share it 50-50. And what kind of outcomes they were looking into, they even decided what they anticipate sometime in the future. So to avoid investors' concern about, because they can never be 2 CEOs in an organization, they even decided beforehand that one of them is going to be a CEO and the other one will be a COO, that is a Chief Operating Officer. So that was also decided by them. They planned for a 20% return rate, while the industry average at that point was 30. So this was also a little bit conservative. Okay, so you have got all the facts in terms of, how did they go about it? We know what the company is all about. And we also know, who were the 2 co-founders, and a little bit more than that, So once they left their college, they decided that they will come back and venture into something new. And this is what they did. After a year, AN tried to locate CW, and then they decided to launch this venture.
क्या प्रॉब्लम है देखो है खुद कितने से एफर्ट करती है तो ये निकल के ना चॉइस
Okay, so what they did was, they were both working at BCG. I hope you know what is BC. It's a big consultancy, Boston consultancy, group. They were working as consultants there. They both quit their jobs, okay? And they raised around $950,000 in venture capital, recruited a team. They even liaised with the manufacturing partners and launched their company, QA Limited. Initial orders were strong. Not only initial order, they were getting repeat orders. So there were number of reorders also. Out of pocket marketing costs were very low. Why? Because they were doing B2C. Okay. And it was so much high because they did 6, strong shows. There was a lot of hype about their product. And media really covered it very nicely. Robust demand led to heavy investment in inventory. Production problems actually put pressure on their margins, and this depleted or they burned their cash reserves. After QA tried and failed to raise more capital, so they went back to the same venture capitalists who had funded them at the very beginning. They then refused to give them, any further money. And then they had to trim their product line to a very much displeasure of, and because this was her baby, okay, that this product has to. So they had to change their strategy by trimming their product line and simplifying, operations. However, the business lacked enough funding. The venture capitalists did not loosen their purse strings. Okay? And, especially because there was a change of strategy. And QA was forced to shut down in less than a year. Mind you, they started in 2012. In less than a year, they had to shut their venture. Okay, so these are the facts of the case. So if you have any questions regarding facts, you can ask me now. I can repeat them for you. Any questions? Have you understood the case? The two friends started business. Okay, they identified a problem area. Their idea was fantastic. Okay, whatever survey they did, they got a good response on that. There was a real demand for their products. They raised funds, okay, but somehow the trajectory of growth was so much that their inventories piled, the orders piled, but they could not meet the target response of the customers. Okay, so they had to scale down. Okay, that means they had to change their strategy, but somehow they needed more cash and they had already burned their cash. And they did not, the venture capitalists did not give them any further cash. So they had to close down their business. Is that fine? So that is in very simple words. So the team members now need to discuss and decide, can there be, I have given all the facts of the case. Now you have to think beyond the box. Okay, what could be the people issue in this case? Okay, I'm not asking about any other issue. No? There are two co-founders over here. They have built up their teams. Okay, they have manufacturing partners and they are venture capitalists. Okay, and I've given you the facts of the case. As a team, the two co-founders and their team members, what could have gone wrong? Okay, and there's no one answer. There can be n number of, your thoughts coming up as to this could be the possibility or that could be the other possibility. I want you to think for 5 minutes, jot down your points. कुछ भी सोच सकते हो आप और इसमें कोई करेक्ट आंसर नहीं है, ओके, या कोई रॉन्ग आंसर नहीं है, ठीक है? सो आप कुछ भी सोच सकते हो एंड यू कैन शेयर योर थॉट्स. आई गिव यू 5 to 10 minutes. कि आप पर आपने बताना सिर्फ 3 रिलेटेड इशू है. आपको जो लगता है हुआ होगा, जो मैंने आपको इतना कुछ तो मैंने आपको ऑलरेडी बता दिया है, ठीक है? मैंने आपको बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स बताए हैं. वो फ्रेंड्स थे, फिर वो अब को-फाउंडर्स बने, दोनों मैचिंग क्वालिफिकेशन के हैं, ओके, पर एक मार्केटिंग ले रहा है, एक ऑपरेशंस ले रहा है. फाइन. मैंने आपको ये भी बताया है कि दोनों सीईओ नहीं बन सकते थे, तो एक सीईओ बना है, एक सीईओ बना है, और इन्होंने अपनी टीम बनाई है. इनकी क्वालिफिकेशन भी मैंने आपको बता दी है. तो कुछ तो गलत हुआ है, Okay? And who are your stakeholders over here? They are co-founders. They have their team. Okay? They have their partner manufacturers. And they have also the venture capitalists. तो आपको क्या लगता है कहाँ पे और प्रॉब्लम रही होगी with any of these stakeholders कि इनका business एक साल के within 1 year they had to shut it down. Okay, I want you to think, and I'll come back to you in 7 to 8 minutes. So please think, सोचो क्या हो सकता है, सारी possibilities हो सकती है. So I haven't used anything like off marketing. Because I want that means मैंने आपको ह्यूमन एंगल नहीं बताया बिकॉज मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप सोचो कि इसमें एज अ टीम और को फाउंडर्स क्या प्रॉब्लम रही होगी. मैंने आपको सारा कुछ बता दिया है. एक दूसरा मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर है, उसको लग रहा था हमारी स्किल्स बड़ी कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री है, पर देखो स्किल्स कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री and they were best of friends. When they started the business, they decided to be my friendship will not, compromise. And they did not. They fought at the time of shutting down. So मैंने आपसे बात करना friend. They fought 2 साल इन्होंने एक दूसरे से बात की. और समझने के लिए What I do is I make scale up after that. From all the others. But within the opportunity from the vaccine,
ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਿਆਰ
Let's ready to scale.
जब अभी ये दोबारा रिकनेक्ट किया ना तब
चलो Okay. Balance teams with one technical founder and one business founder raises 30% more money, have 2.9 times more user growth, and are 19% less likely to scale prematurely than a lone business or technical founding team. So the basic question which you can ask is what kind of founding team you need? Okay, so this is a very important question. How many of you know what is a business canvas, business model canvas? Okay, two of you know very well. So I'll very quickly go through the business model canvas. Does it have a pointer? Yes, fine. Okay. So very quickly I'll run through who do not know about business model canvas. There are two things which are very important for any entrepreneur to know. What is a business plan? And the second one is what is a business model canvas, which you see over here. So we start with the key activities. Okay. The key activities over here are, what is your problem statement? Like if we go back to the Quincy case, okay, the two founders knew that there was a great demand for professional, right-fitting clothes at a lower price. Okay, so you have to identify what is the key activity. Okay, so I'm putting it one. The second thing which is very important is, if you remember, they went to their consumers, did a 6 trunk shows, they did a survey as to what is required. That is very important to define your problem statement as to what you want to do. The third is, what is your value proposition? Okay, so in the Quincy case, the value proposition was, again, as I've already told you, well-fitting clothes, professional clothes at a lower cost. The fourth point, which I have identified as a key resource, are your resources. In management, we talk about 5 M's. So can anybody tell me what could that M start from, like material, machine, method, manpower? Okay, anything else? Yes, right. Okay, the fifth one is money. But besides that, you require one more thing, which is expertise. Okay, which most of the founding teams actually forget. We know in case of Quincy now that if they would have had a third founder who had a degree in fashion, probably their problems would have been sorted out to a very, very large extent. Okay, so this is the fourth resource, which is very important. But let me complete the cycle and I'll come back to this because I have put this in red. The fifth is, who are your key partners? We all know, in terms of the stakeholders of Quincy, how they ditched the co-founders. Okay, they did not provide any support. So this is a very important link in the the entire cycle. The sixth one are your channels. Channels basically means how you are going to sell your product. What route are you going to take? We know they took D2C, direct to consumer channel. Okay, the seventh is your customer relationship. Okay, this is very important. Your products will stop selling if you don't engage with your customers. So you have to build your relationship with your customers. Okay, the eighth is naturally the revenues, that is your sales. Okay, mind you, we always say in management, all that matters is money. Okay, and this ninth are your costs. So your sales you know, the revenue which you generate from your sales have to be more than your cost and not otherwise, right? So now let me answer the question, what kind of a founding team do you need? You need to relate two functions over here. What are your key activities with key resources? And I've already told you, the question which you have to ask is, do I have the right resources? And I told you, it's not only your 5 M's which are very important over here. You need to have expertise. Okay, so if Quincy Apparel would have thought in terms of lagging, you know, fashion expertise, things would not have been that bad. So for any founder or co-founder, you have to look at expertise, and that is how you'll be able to identify what kind of founding team do you need. So this is a, you know, foolproof way of identifying your founding team. Whom do you need as a founder, co-founder? Okay, so this is how it's going to help you. So if they would have done this exercise before, they would not have, you know, gone that way. So very quickly, I'll just run through this. What are the hallmarks of top performing team? These are all being captured from by way of research. Okay, so you have to have a growth mindset. That is very, very important. Okay, you have to create a culture of problem solving amongst your team and build a culture of regular self and peer feedback. I hope we all understand what is feedback. You have to continuously ask, if I'm wrong, where are we wrong? Okay, what do we need to do in terms of correction? So that's very important. Place high value on the process and effort. Okay, your processes should not be stalled at any moment. So if there's an event, only your response will determine what is an outcome. If you are not giving a proper response, your outcome will not be favorable. The second thing is, which is very important, is receptive to conflict. No two people, we have seen in case of Quincy, best friends, they could not hold on together. So if we see this diagram, okay, this is the calming stage. Okay, so when you see the arrows, they are all in different directions. Okay, the arrows are all in different directions. So why they are in different directions? Because when you come together, okay, आपने शुरू में टीम फॉर्म करे, पहले probably आपकी इतनी interaction नहीं हुई, then later. So this is a complex way. This is a pseudo team. That means you have started, you know, you're facing challenges and you're trying to storm whatever, you know, challenge you're facing. Here you're trying to, you know, organize a little bit. So this is a norming. That means you're trying to reach towards normal. And the last one is the real team. Okay, so what do you see is a pentagon. Okay, there is crisscross going all over. That means now you've been able to, you know, interact in a proper way, just like any good team should do. So you are receptive. And the last is, you can see the decline stage. The decline stage, again, you see it's quite similar to your beginning stage. That means if you are not able to resolve your conflict, naturally you're going to break up. Okay, so that is a decline stage. So communication norms are very, very important. Okay, and there's a lot of value to collaboration. And define success in your role in the context of environment. Context is very important. आप किस environment में हो currently और क्या करना चाहते हो? That is very, very important. Okay, so this is a Bruce Tuckman's model. The third one, which is very important, is psychologically safe. आपने शुरू में देखा होगा कि हर पर्सनालिटी डिफरेंट होती है. तो अगर आप यहाँ पे देखें, आप अपने आप को जानते हो और लोग भी आपको जानते हैं. That means you are open. You will be very free to convey whatever you want to convey. Okay. The second is कि आप अपने आप को नहीं जानते, but लोग आपको जानते हैं. Okay, this is called as a blind spot. This is neither you know yourself and others also don't know you. The most dangerous is this hidden. कि आप अपने आप को तो जानते हैं, but लोग आपको गेज ही नहीं कर पा रहे कि आप कैसे हो. So जब आप टीम बनाओगे, आपके पास हर तरह का, you know, there will be every other person will not be one type. कोई होगा जो बड़ा ओपन है, आपके मुंह पे बोल रहा है कि ऐसे होना चाहिए. कोई होगा वो कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहा, अननोन है, बट यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल कि आपने सबको थोड़ा सा रिसेप्टिव एंड रिस्पॉन्सिव बनाना है. So one lesson which you learn over here is, this is called as a Johari window, that all people are not the same. So your expectation ki sab same ho, okay, that is not going to be there. So आपने क्या करना है, conversational turn लेनी है. जैसे अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ आप अपना opinion दो, एक बोलेगा और बाकी सब सुनेंगे. So team इस तरह से करना है, आपने सबका opinion लेना है. Grassroots से भी लेना है, naturally ऊपर top तो लेंगे ही लेंगे. So this is called as turn taking in the group. And naturally you have to be very active listener. सबकी सुननी है आपने. Okay, then only you can be successful. If you shut down yourself, okay, it's not going to work. The next is optimize for results. Now this is a very famous approach. This is given by John Doerr. Okay, and this is called as, OKR approach. O is for objective and KR is for key results. So आपके objective कैसे होने चाहिए? Smart objectives. Smart means it should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And you have to link your objectives to your key performance indicators. Okay, you have to link with them, then only you will get the key results. Otherwise, you are not going. So your objective should be crystal clear, and it should be able to measure whatever are your key performing activities. So, and this should be tied to the strategy. Anybody can tell me what is the definition of strategy? What is strategy? What is strategy? Okay, strategy. Okay, plans are always short term. Strategy is always long term. आप अपनी कंपनी के बारे में long term क्या सोच रहे हैं? Okay, so that is what we call as strategy. And you have to balance strategic. Strategic is long term. Tactical is always short term. दोनों को आपने balance करना है. Okay, सब कुछ aligned होना चाहिए towards long term. Naturally, आप small steps. आपने नीचे ground floor पे थे, आपने CSDE आना था. ठीक है, ये आपका route था long term. With each step which you took, that was short term. So this is how you have to progress in an organization. Okay, and the last is you have to understand the vision. Okay, those who haven't read this book should read this book by Stephen Covey. Okay, iski book ka naam hai The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. The 8th one has been added later on because these are something which are very important because of automation. So remove the unimportant. Sirf focus karo important pe. Work on 80-20. 20% of your tasks are going to make most impact. Take strategic breaks. एक ही उसमें मत रहो. कुछ you need to change. आप कार कभी एक ही गियर पे चलाते हो? नहीं चलाते ना, उसको गियर चेंज करते रहते हो. इसी तरह आपने you have to keep on changing. Then remove distractions. Set a timeline. Create your flow environment. देखो आपको क्या इंस्पायर करता है. कभी कभी वो प्लेस होती है, कभी वो पीपल होते हैं. ओके, सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी क्लियर विद दैट. यूज टाइम पॉकेट्स. मेक द बेस्ट ऑफ एवरी मिनट व्हिच यू हैव एंड ऑटोमेट. ओके, सो अगर आपने अपने टीम को कुछ विजन देनी है, आपको एक्शनेबल एंड मेजरेबल टारगेट्स देने ही पड़ेंगे अपने टीम को. अगर उनको पता ही नहीं उनको क्या करना है, कहाँ पे जाना है, what is your aim, what is your target for each month, what is the target for the whole year. So that is very important. So guide team to understand a vision based on core value, purpose, mission, strategy, and goals. Okay, so I'm just doing a summary of what we discussed. Okay, so what can I do to create a high performance team? You should build a vision. You should embrace a feedback culture. सबसे आप feedback लो. Bias to problem solving. You should try to solve problems. Promote a learning climate. Establish communication norms and use conversational turn taking. I've already explained what is turn taking. Be a very good listener. That is very, very important. Don't keep on interrupting and putting across your perspective and not listening to others. Now we come over to the founders agreement. I'm going to start on a light note. So this cartoon I really found was very apt. Okay, they are saying we are pre-revenue, pre-product, and pre-idea. Okay, that means nothing is tangible. So any help would be appreciated. So I think you can very well understand such a venture will go nowhere. Okay, so what is very important is a founder's agreement. Okay, there has to be commitment from the people, because if you want to be successful in your venture. So what is a founder's agreement? I think all of you understand. It's a contract, okay, that will govern your business relationships. Okay, whether it's with your co-founder, whether it's with your employees, whether it's with your vendor. Okay, so this is very important. Actually, what is the purpose? I usually say this is there as a dual purpose. Okay, and this purpose mostly people don't discuss. Okay, but it's very important. If your agreement is clear, everyone will understand what is the purpose behind your business. What does your business wants to do? So it's an agreement which communicates the founder's shared vision. Okay, अगर posterity basically means forever. तो ये agreement आपको बताएगा कि founder का क्या vision था behind setting up an enterprise. And actually the second one we all understand. उसमें सारे terms and conditions होंगे regarding share ownership, rights, responsibility. अगर कल को dispute हो गया तो कैसे resolve करेंगे हम इस dispute को, so on and so forth. So now I'm coming over to the serious part. Okay, so we are going to do these 12 terminology which are there in the founder's agreement. I'm going to pick them up one by one and I'm going to explain. Okay, if you have any question, you can please stop me and you can ask your question. Okay, the first is equity ownership. I think everybody understands what is equity ownership, your stake, okay, in the venture. Okay, so the equity ownership is pertinent to a certain the voting rights. Now, what is the relationship with your equity ownership and voting right? Okay, अगर मैं आज ये आपकी 6 teams हैं, okay, each one of you have 1 share, okay. So, and I ask you, are you in favor or are you in against? So, how are you going to vote? You are going to vote based on the number of shares you have. Okay, so I hope everybody knows, usually there is 1 share, 1 vote, but in most of the startups, okay, there's an anomaly which you should be very careful. They are called as differential voting rights. अगर आपके पास 1 share हो और 10 votes हो, तो आपकी जो आप करना चाहते हो डिसीजन वैसे होगा, क्योंकि आपकी वोट के 1 वोट के पीछे 1 शेयर के पीछे आपके पास 10 वोट है, बाकी सबके पास एक ही वोट है. तो अगर हम मेजॉरिटी वोटिंग करना चाहते हैं, देखना चाहते हैं कि इस डिसीजन को हमने लेना है कि नहीं लेना, तो नेचुरली जिसके पास ज्यादा वोट होगी डिसीजन अकॉर्डिंगली लिया जाएगा. So you have to be very careful. In most of the startups, very big startups, they have been differential rights. That means 1 share has 10 votes, 12 votes, 15 votes. Okay. The second is vesting. This is a technical legal term. Okay, vesting is a legal term. तो इसमें ये है कि अगर कल आपने फाउंडर एग्जिट करना चाहता है या आप उसको you want to throw out, ousted means you want to throw that founder out. Okay, how will you determine कि उसके shares, okay, you have to incorporate how will you deal with that shareholding in which he has. Okay, so there are 2 ways legally. Okay, I am taking into consideration Indian scenario. Okay, the first is called as time-based investing. उस founder ने और co-founder ने आपके साथ कितना time spend किया in the business. Okay, so the shares owned by the founder shall be vested in proportion to the time spent. अगर आपके 12 महीने थे, उसने 9 महीने करे तो 9/12. Okay, and in the event the founder decides to quit from the company before the expiry of the term, आपने कोई term रखा था उसका कि आप 2 साल काम करोगे. Okay, you will not exit before 2 years. And suppose he or she wants to exit before 2 years. The remaining shares of founder shall be returned to the company. So अपनी terms and conditions में आपने ये लिखना है कि अगर हर co-founder का कितना time वो commit करेगा in terms of years, and if he or she leaves before, those shares will go to the company itself. Okay. The second way of doing is called as milestone vesting. Milestone vesting is basically based on performance. कि कंपनी किस तरह परफॉर्म कर रही है, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपकी vesting power, that means the ownership will be determined. So the vesting of the shares and milestone vesting takes place when the milestones set out in the agreements are achieved by the company. तो आपको शेयर होल्डिंग ओनरशिप तभी मिलेगी जो आपने एग्रीमेंट में फिक्स अप किया है कि इतना % से ROI होगा. At that time, the share ownership will vest with the co-founders. So you have to be, this is the most common and most important terminology in setting up the founders agreement. The third is demarcation of the roles and responsibility. ये आपको क्विंसी अप्रैल में बड़ी अच्छी तरह पता लग गया कि दोनों CEOs की पोजीशन में थे, पर एक ने CEO एंड दूसरे ने COO का करा. तो रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं उसको मैंने सेपरेटली इसलिए नहीं लिया बिकॉज दिस इज गोइंग टू बी डिफरेंट फॉर ईच वेंचर. बट मोस्टली क्या रोल्स होते हैं? ओके, ऑपरेशन का होता है, मार्केटिंग का होता है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव का होता है, फाइनेंस का मेजर रोल होता है. अगर आपको यूनिक टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर रहे हैं देन यू विल हैव अनदर, so this will depend on the venture. The next is restriction on transfer of shares. There's something called as lock-in clause. Lock-in clause basically means आप उतने time से पहले अपना shareholding you cannot sell your shares. So this is called as lock-in clause. So most of the founders agreement will have this lock-in clause, which is going to prescribe the number of years before the expiry which the co-founder is not permitted to transfer the share owned by him in the company. The agreement shall provide for mechanism to deal with the situation. Okay. Professor Manu Sharma was insisting a lot on exit. What will happen at the time of exit? Agar koi co-founder wants to exit the company before the expiry of the lock-in period, the terms and conditions should be very clearly spelled out. One of the ways to ensure that the equity of the company is not transferred to outsider is, this is very important, the one which is in the green, right of first refusal. उसको वो शेयर्स जो करंट को फाउंडर्स है पहले उनको ऑफर करना पड़ेगा. अगर वो ले लेंगे देन इट इज फाइन. अगर वो रिफ्यूज करेंगे वो तभी वो शेयर्स वो बाहर आउट एक्सटर्नल पार्टी को वो बेच सकेंगे, नहीं तो नहीं बेच सकेंगे. Okay, in most of the cases naturally the co-founders would not like the control to go to some X. Okay, so they would like to buy out the shares of the co-founder who wants to exit early. This is very important, since there was another question which was put by Professor Sharma as to what about the scientists who's bringing in the intellectual property. Now things are very clear. If you have a startup company, that right should go to the company from the person. जो भी साइंटिस्ट के पास राइट है वो ट्रांसफर होना ही चाहिए टू द कंपनी. क्यों? कल को वो साइंटिस्ट आपका छोड़ के चले गया, आपका बिजनेस क्लोज. Because it was built upon that intellectual property right. So you have to be very clear. Once the company is founded, that right has to transfer from the scientist to the company. Okay. One thing is, okay, which I put a rider over here. It's over here. What about specialized high technology sectors? Okay. तो technology बहुत high sector में है. उसके लिए आप शेयर कर सकते हो. You can have shared between the company and that particular scientist. In all other cases, it's very important to transfer the intellectual property to the company, because if the co-founder goes, your company goes. Okay, you have to close down your company. Okay, then what is the value addition by founders? Okay, एक क्वेश्चन आप में से पूछ सकते हो लास्ट में कि कुछ ऐसा भी हो सकता है ना, अभी तो हम साइंटिस्ट की बात कर रहे हैं, हम उससे ले रहे हैं, हो सकता है ड्यूरिंग द बिजनेस ही आप कुछ क्रिएट करो जिसपे आपको इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट मिले. इन केस अगर बिजनेस में ड्यूरिंग द रनिंग ऑफ द बिजनेस यू डू इट, देन इट इज ऑटोमेटिकली गोज टू द कंपनी. इट डजंट गो टू एनी ऑफ द co-founders. The next is value addition by the founder. There can be n number of things on value addition which the founder can bring in. Okay, एक तो है IPR, उसके अलावा बहुत चीजें हैं जो founders कर सकते हैं. Okay, वो टेक्निकल नो हाउ, मार्केटिंग राइट्स ला सकते हैं, सिमिलर वैल्यू एडिशंस कर सकते हैं. ओके, तो इसमें बड़ा क्लियरली स्टेटेड होना चाहिए कि विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द नेचर किस तरह का वैल्यू एडिशन है. ओके, उसकी मॉनेटरी वैल्यू कितनी है, कितना टाइम पीरियड के ये वैल्यू एडिशन वो करी जाएगी, और क्या कॉम्पनसेशन पे करी जाएगी को फाउंडर के को जो वो वैल्यू एडिशन कर रहा है. ये आपके सारा टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस क्लियर होना चाहिए. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स there is no compensation per se in terms of monetary value, but there is something called as issued share. उसके अगेंस्ट आप कुछ शेयर इशू कर सकते हैं. देन कितने नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स इशू करने हैं, उसकी कितनी परसेंटेज शेयर होल्डिंग होगी, और उसकी मेथड ऑफ वैल्यूएशन कितनी होगी. एक बात आप बहुत अच्छी तरह समझ लीजिए, अगर कुछ इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट है, कल को आप फंड रेज करने जा रहे हो, आपका वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट सबसे पहले ये देखेगा कि वो कंपनी के नाम है कि नहीं है. कंपनी की वैल्यूएशन बढ़ेगी तब जब वो राइट कंपनी के पास होगा और इंडिविजुअल के पास नहीं होगा. Venture capitalists are smart people. Okay, they are not going to dole out cash like that to you. They will see the security of the venture. So uske liye it's very important for you that the right should vest with the company. Company ki valuation automatically zyada hoegi usse. Okay, so this was a side tip to you. Then there is a non-compete clause in your agreement. Non-compete means ओके मैं काम कर रही हूँ, कल मैं चले जाती हूँ, मैं इसका पैरेलल बिजनेस सेटअप कर लेती हूँ. ओके, सो देन व्हाट, आपका जो एक्सक्लूसिविटी जो है, जो वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन हमने बिजनेस कैनवस में बात की थी जिसकी, वो तो रही ही नहीं, वो भी सेम बिजनेस सेटअप कर लेगा. सो देयर शुड बी अ क्लियर एग्रीमेंट प्रोहिबिटिंग the co-founders for engaging the activities that are conflict with the objectives of the company during their association and even period after the termination of the agreement. Now, what I did was I looked into what is the stance of the Indian courts about it. जो Indian German courts हैं, वो दोनों तरफ में safety provide करते हैं business को. At the time जब आप काम कर रहे हो उस कंपनी के साथ, उसके जब आप resign करके आप चले जाते हो. But in Indian courts, okay, जब तक आप काम करते हो तभी तक आपको सेफ्टी प्रोवाइड करी गई है. इंडियन कोर्ट्स कहते हैं कि प्री टर्मिनेशन पीरियड में ठीक है, ओके, नॉन कॉम्पीट क्लॉज होगा, बट आप किसी की टेक्निकल नो हाउ कर्व नहीं कर सकते. सो पोस्ट टर्मिनेशन पीरियड the benefit was not provided in Indian courts. I have seen 2-3 cases where the benefit was not provided to the startup company. So that is something which is, very dangerous from the perspective of, India. Then I think everybody understand there's a lot of, if you have the IPR or some, unique know-how, you have to have, this is confidential information. So the co-founders should not be sharing this with others. Okay, so the founder should be contractually restricted from disclosing any confidential information obtained by such co-founders during their course of his or her association with the startup. So this, otherwise there will be irreparable harm to the company. Employment. Okay, so generally the co-founders are required to be in the whole time employment. मतलब आप कोई और काम नहीं कर रहे, आप पूरा time अपना business run कर रहे. Okay. So there must be clear understanding amongst co-founders. What are the terms of employment? Okay, किस designation में है? हमने देखा Quincy में that was a problem. Okay, in the hearts of hearts, both were working like CEOs. Then compensation कितना है, benefit कितना है? ये सारे detailed terms of employment should be very clearly present. Okay, for each co-founder, okay, it should be very clearly present. Then what is future financing? Okay, detail. अभी तो आपके funds हो गए, आपने business setup कर लिया. अगर future में आपने funds raise करने हैं, किस तरह के funds raise होंगे? I think everybody understand. Okay, you can raise equity, you can even raise debt. Okay, and there's a misnomer that venture capitalists come easy. They don't come easy. वो इतने terms and conditions अपने रखेंगे, and whenever you need a second line of financing, there will be an issue. Okay, so you have to be very clear whether you want to raise it through equity. Okay, if it is through equity, how are you going to raise that equity? Okay, and then if it is a debt, what rate of interest will the company be ready to pay? Okay, so all matters of financing should be very clear with the company. Then next is decision making. Okay, how will you, the agreement should very clearly state what is the manner of exercise of decisions. As you can see in Quincy April, they were clear about two things. Most of the others they did not spell out, and that is how they they had huge problems in terms of decision making. See, decisions are always, you never take decision for past. Decisions are made for the future. So they have to be, the decisions have to be very quick and timely. अगर आपकी decision making stall हो रही है, इसका मतलब things are not right. So it's very clear. Okay. So you do not want to reach any deadlock in decision making. So if you are company form, okay, their board of directors. If you are not company form, you might have board of advisors. Okay, and most of the time, अगर venture capitalist से आपने पैसा ले लिया, वो तो आपके they'll be your advisors. Just like Quincy April को उन्होंने push किया कि high sales करो, big inventory बनाओ. And आप देखो fashion industry में क्या होता है, जो लुधियाना की इंडस्ट्री का सबको पता ही होगा, उनके ऑलरेडी सारे वूलन्स ओके बन चुके हैं. उनके सारे वूलन्स ऑलरेडी बन गए हैं, पैक्ड हैं और डिस्पैच भी हो गए. तो आपको प्री प्लान करना पड़ता है. Okay, so it also depends on the matter of industry. And the last and the most important is termination and dispute resolution. अगर आपने अपना business terminate करना है तो किस तरह से करना है? Okay, the agreement shall lay down the rights of the company as well as the co-founders. Okay, अगर company form है और आपका board है, all decisions are rooted through your boards. आप अपनी मर्जी से नहीं कुछ कर सकते हैं. Okay, so the agreement may be terminated upon occurrence of a particular event. कुछ ऐसा event हुआ जिसके कारण आपको business अपना close down करना पड़ रहा है. और by mutual consent. कुछ चीजें होती हैं वो mutual consent से ही नहीं होती, तो लड़ाई झगड़े करके होती है. Okay, कुछ होती है okay, we agree we need to close down business. Okay. So further the agreement shall provide a clear mechanism for resolution. अगर आपका लड़ाई झगड़ा हो ही गया है तो उसको resolve कैसे करना है, उसका भी mechanism state होना चाहिए. Okay. Then state कैसे होगा? There is something called as arbitration. Okay. कुछ किसी mediator को आपको identify करना है. ये कल हमारा झगड़ा हो तो ये हमारा झगड़ा resolve करेगा. Okay. Then the party shall agree on the governing law of the agreement. जो भी आपके गवर्निंग लॉज एग्रीमेंट में आता है, जैसे इंडिया में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एक्ट आ जाएगा, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपको मूव करना है. और जुरिस्डिक्शन ऑफ द कोर्ट, उसी जुरिस्डिक्शन जो कोर्ट की आपने आइडेंटिफाई करा है उसमें ही आपके डिस्प्यूट रिजॉल्व होंगे. तो मैंने आपके लिए क्या किया, क्विक चेकलिस्ट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस बता दिए. जितने हमने पॉइंट्स रेज करे हैं, हमने 12 पॉइंट्स रेज किए हैं, उसकी चेकलिस्ट में 22 क्वेश्चंस हैं. ये आपको ये अपने 22 questions, when you are making a farming agreement, you have to answer these 22 questions. So most of the things, not most, I have done all of them. कि कितना money invest करना है, founder अगर कुछ intangible लेकर आता है तो उसका experience, industry connect, credibility, उसको कैसे आपने map करना है. Vesting of shares मैंने आपको बता ही दिया, 2 तरह से होता है. अगर एक co-founder लीव करना चाहता है तो बिफोर द एक्सपायरी तो क्या करना है, डिफरेंट रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज कैसे स्पेल आउट करनी है, अकाउंटेबिलिटी कैसे फिक्स करनी है, रिस्ट्रिक्शन ऑन ट्रांसफर ऑफ शेयर्स को कैसे डील करना है, लॉक इन पीरियड को कैसे आपने यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई. अगर कोई वो इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी डेवलप कर रहे हैं तो इट हैज टू बी फुली ट्रांसफर्ड टू द कंपनी. इट्स ओनली इन केस ऑफ वेरी हाई टेक दैट it has to be other. How will you value the intellectual property? How many shares are to be issued? Okay, how do you go about valuing the shares? What shall be the designation, roles, responsibilities? How much compensation? What shall be the mechanism of termination? What additional financing? What is the method of valuation of equity? If you think about raising through equity, otherwise debt, what shall be the structure of board? How will the simple and complex decisions be made? What is the mechanism adopted? Okay, under what circumstances shall the agreement be terminated and what court shall have the exclusive jurisdiction? So this is a checklist, a very important part, and you just need to see आपने जितना आप इस checklist 22 items को map करोगे उतना ही आपकी the longevity of your venture will hold on. Okay, sometimes we are very much scared about details. Mind you, the details are everything. Jitna detailed hoga, okay, and nobody minds, to going in details. So I'm just going to close down because I need to take few questions. My mentor always said, you are the average of who you surround yourself with. So choose well. Okay. So the same is true even for startups. Don't be afraid to hire someone who's smarter than you. Okay. We should not think we are the smartest. Okay. There are people who are more smarter, and don't be afraid. Okay. And they'll take the organization up a notch. Okay. They'll take your organization to a higher level. So choose your team well, and your startup will actually thrive and succeed. So this is very important. So you should have a right partner. So I can take few questions. पेपर में एग्रीमेंट हमेशा एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हमेशा लीगल होता है. ओके, एंड वन add on to the point, don't be scared of taking a legal counsel. लीगल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है आपका, लीगल काउंसिल से पूछो. और मैंने प्रोफेसर मनु शर्मा को बोला था मैं इसमें टेम्पलेट डाल दूंगी, पर मैंने नहीं डाली बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी रेडीमेड टेम्पलेट्स अवेलेबल ऑनलाइन. आप इसको करो फाउंडर एग्रीमेंट टेम्पलेट, हंड्रेड्स ऑफ टेम्पलेट मिल जाएगी. बट द अंडरलाइन इज आपको ये समझना बहुत जरूरी है, जो एक्स के लिए वर्क कर रहा है वो वाई के लिए शायद वर्क ना करे. All businesses are not same. Naturally, startup में क्या होता है? Okay, it's a novel idea, new idea. Okay, or it's the same idea with a new twist. So जो novelty होती है उसको आप जो set pattern है उसमें नहीं capture कर सकते. So please don't be afraid of taking legal counsel to draft a legal agreement, which I advise you should be doing that. Okay, if you want to survive. We know we have done an actual living case, best of friends, who when they graduated, they decided कि किसी दिन हम दोनों मिलके कोई business करेंगे, और उन्होंने वैसे ही किया 1 साल बाद. But हमें पता है best of friends, they couldn't even last for a year. So अगर आप सोच रहे हो आपका friend है या relative है, सबसे ज़्यादा problem ही वही है. Okay. So please be very clear in terms of your terms of contract. The founder's agreement should be your basis. And please don't be afraid of details. जितना detail होगा उतना आप भी secure होगे और आपका co-founder भी secure होगा. Any questions? Okay, any questions from that side? No questions? All answers? That's wonderful. It's always wonderful to have, people who have all answers and have no questions. हाँ नहीं, प्रोसेस करो, मेरे को दोबारा बुला दो, मैं दोबारा आपकी प्रोसेसिंग को रिफाइन कर दूंगी. But what I really missed was, a big audience, because I had requested for a physical. Because आपने देखा है जो आपने 2 exercises करे हैं वो online हो ही नहीं सकती हैं. Because how do you interact with, one another? So it's very important. You can, well appreciate जब आप 2 इकट्ठे होके किसी issue को लेते हो, तो perspective different आता है. Okay? शायद आपने वो वैसा किसी को ऐसे लगा कि जब आप किसी वो दोनों केसेस में काम कर रहे थे तो आपके जो पार्टनर है उसने आपको कुछ फ्रेश इनसाइट दी लगा. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू फेल्ट दैट? ओह वंडरफुल. ओके, आई हैव 100% डन इट. ओके, इट्स वंडरफुल. तो आप देख सकते हो, इट्स ऑलवेज गुड टू कोलैबोरेट, बट देन उसके अपने पेरिल्स होते हैं. नो 2 पीपल आर सेम. सो उसको कैसे कवर करना है? थ्रू फाउंडर्स एग्रीमेंट. फाइन. So thank you all of you. And thanks, not only I'm thanking as a speaker, I'm also thanking you from the Center for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. You are in our facility and we are very privileged to have you here. Okay, and we'll continue to support all activities which are related to startups and entrepreneurship, because that is one of our fortes and mission which we need to achieve. Okay, and I'm always available. You can come through Professor Manu Sharma if you have some questions. Okay, and if you want any part of the slides as you just let me know which slides you feel you need to have. I'll make a PDF and I'll transfer it to Dr. John, and she can disperse the same to you. So you can let me know if you need any specific. Hanji.
Question on the IPR से you mentioned the IPR के अंदर company must own the IPR of whatever it is used, right? However, when you have developers that are third party, creators of the generators of an idea of product that are third party, they are able to license their IPR to companies.
Okay. But if you see, the license is always for a specific period. And the license is limited to X activity only. You can't do Y activity. So you have to be very clear about that. Even if you're licensing, that means the life of your enterprise, although we'll wish better than that, is linked to the license term. And हर चीज का जो आप license दे रहे हो ना, it's not, you can use it for any purpose. The purpose is always stated. So it is meant for a specific purpose for which you can use only. So that's very important. Okay. Okay, like for example, in Quincy, what happened was, जब इसका solution ढूंढा गया कि इसको क्या कर सकते थे, अगर ऐसा क्यों हुआ, और अब अगर ऐसे करते तो ज्यादा बेटर रहता, जैसे हमने डिस्कस किया, तो एक सजेशन ये भी आया था. Okay, this was naturally from an expert who said कि अगर वो किसी, they could have always thought about the third co-founder, या जिसकी स्किल थी फैशन इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड, या वो जिसको ऑर्डर प्लेस कर रहे थे, इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग मल्टीपल manufacturers, they could have entered into an agreement with one manufacturer and उसको करने के लिए उसको स्टेक दे देते हैं. उसको, there is something like in management we talk about skin in the game. Skin in the game means आपको भी उतना ही हर्ट करना चाहिए जितना फाउंडर को हर्ट कर रहा है अगर बिजनेस कोलैप्स कर रहा है. तो स्किन इन द गेम तभी आ सकती है जब आप उसको इक्विटी स्टेक दोगे. सो दैट्स द पॉइंट. गुड क्वेश्चन. आप नहीं चूज करते, वो आपको चूज करना है. नहीं, आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते हो. मैंने आपको पहले बोला है कि हम बड़े कैजुअली यूज करते हैं वर्ड कि स्टार्टअप्स के इतने टाइप्स हैं, फाइनेंसिंग आप इतने सोर्सेस से रेज कर सकते हैं. दैट इज नॉट दैट सिंपल. द सेफेस्ट यू आर बीइंग अ प्राइवेट कंपनी, एंड द वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट विल चूज यू, यू विल नॉट चूज हिम और हर. और उसके अगर आपको वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट ने फंड प्रोवाइड कर दिया, you will be under a stick. You will continuously, you will automatically be, like one of your mentors. You will see what are you doing, okay, how you are doing, okay, how you should be doing. आप देखो क्विंसी की फेलियर इसीलिए है क्योंकि वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट, उनको बढ़िया वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट नहीं मिला. जो वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट मिला उसकी डीप पॉकेट्स नहीं थी. डीप पॉकेट्स मतलब उसके पास इतना पैसा ही नहीं था देने का, क्योंकि इनके पास एक्सपर्टीज ही नहीं थी, जैसे आपने बोला इन फैशन. और एक बारी पैसा दिया तो उसको ड्राइव किया कि नहीं और ऑर्डर्स करो और करो. उन्हें उनका कैश बर्न हो गया, इन्वेंट्री पाइल अप हो गई. ठीक है, और फिर जब दोबारा सेकंड लाइन ऑफ फंडिंग मांगी तो उन्होंने रिफ्यूज कर दिया, कहा कि आप बिजनेस क्लोज करो. सो यू कैन वेरी वेल अंडरस्टैंड, इट्स नॉट एज सिंपल, right? There is, in a training session I've already seen on, the finance part. I think a number of your queries are going to be answered there, although I can also do. I am a professor of finance and accounting, by the way. Okay, so I think we should now close down. If you have any queries, you can please pass on to Dr. John. Which ones? The whole PPT? Okay, so this is from where we had started. Okay, the team formation exercise. This was the first exercise which we did based on nature. The second the second one is naturally it's a Harvard business case, and these are actual ladies, okay, whom I did not disclose earlier. And this was about the company and the co-founders and what happened. So I just wanted you to explore the human angle. So we found it was a very good idea, excellent idea, but then the founder team, could not take it. It was a bad founder team because काफी terms and conditions उनके नहीं spelled out थे. जहाँ पे उन्होंने वेग छोड़ दिया कि वो मेरा friend है, वहाँ उनको problem आती रही. And actually उनके पास कोई fashion expert, apparel expert नहीं था. Okay, I showed you the actual ladies, and then we went into the numbers. There's no magic number. This was the most important. Okay, we can spend 2 hours just on doing a business model canvas. Okay, so I just told you how you can use this canvas in realizing how your founding, team can be established. Okay, then we do that. This is a very important in management. We usually do it as to what are the facets. Okay, this is based on research. जितनी अच्छी teams रही हैं, उनकी क्या qualities थी, based on that I have shared with you. Okay, these 5 qualities. Okay, then we came over to founders agreement, in which we have defined and also spelled out what is the purpose. And then we have done the key terms, in which we have done the equity ownership, vesting, demarcation of roles and responsibilities, restriction on transfer of shares, IP, assignment, valuations by the founders, non-compete, confidentiality, and employment, future financing. So these are 12 decision-making, termination, and dispute resolution. Based on this, we have come out with checklist questions, which are 22 from the 12. So these are what we have all covered, but in form of a checklist. Okay. So, and the last, we are just saying that you should not be afraid of getting something, someone who's better than you. Okay, so if there are no questions, thank you. Okay, there's one question now. To uphold equity. Your 4 partners. Okay. See, usually when you talk about share ownership, okay, it's always 100%. Yeah. So one of you will have to dilute his or her shareholding. Okay, with company law, I'm quite close, I'm clear about that. Even in finance, we usually teach that, share owners are your shareholders. उनके पास सारा stake है, ठीक है? आपका authorized and issued capital different हो सकता है at any particular point in time. अगर आप authorized suppose 10 करोड़ के लिए हो, एक टाइम में आप 5 करोड़ रेज कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, थ्रू शेयर्स. आप पूरा ना करो, बट जो 5 करोड़ में 100% होगा, राइट? अगर आपने 5th पार्टनर लेकर आना है, तो आप लोगों में से ही जितने शेयर होल्डर्स करंटली हैं, उनको डाइल्यूट करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ये प्राइवेट लिमिटेड है, ये पब्लिक लिमिटेड नहीं है। पब्लिक लिमिटेड में ऐसे चैलेंज ही नहीं है, क्योंकि यू हैव व्हाट वी कॉल अ शेयर फ्लोट. Float means it's there in the market. You buy a share, you sell a share. With private, there is a restriction. So it's your existing partners which will have to dilute. Fine? Okay, so if you have any other question also, please be free. I think now we should close now. Thanks a lot. And thanks to Professor Sharma for giving me an opportunity. Okay, it's always nice to prepare for a theme which is very close to your heart. So you gave me a lot of opportunity. So I had to put into words. I had opportunity naturally. We are used to the case analysis, but I had to also study a lot to bring all its aspects which I can deliver in 2 hours. Okay, I hope you found my lecture relevant, and you please let Dr. John know which slides which you would like to have. I can convert them into PDF and I can share it with the participants. Fine. Thank you.